we're going to practice Tadasana. So Tadasana means mountain pose, and it is the foundation for all standing postures. And I'm glad you're here. We'll just take a few minutes together. Doesn't matter where you're at. We'll just do a little bit of exploration and how this might feel in your body, and we'll see what we can come up with. So maybe you notice some things in your body. Do you think, if I stand sideways, do you notice in your body, if you were just to kind of march in place a little bit, and then pause, and when you pause, close your eyes for a moment, take a breath in and a breath out, and then blink your eyes open and look at your feet. So the feet tell us a lot about what our natural stance is going to be, and if you're toeing out, that might be one way that you would naturally stand, and that's going to put a little bit of pressure on the back. It's going to turn the hips out and rotate the knees outward. And typically, we would want the knees to be pointing forward, and then we would want the toes in line with the knees, and we would want the hips in line with all of that, as is aligned with the shoulders. So that might not be true for your body. We want to honor that. You might also toe in a little bit. So notice that, and then that's going to put different pressure. It's going to open up the low back a little bit, but it might put additional pressure on the knees or the joints. You might also notice when you look down that your inner ankles roll in. When the inner ankles roll in, it makes the knees also roll in. And one of the things I notice as a yoga teacher is that many people have tremendous instability in their knees, actually all the joints, but a lot in the knees. And so when we over time do that, when we over time sit in a chair with our leg crossed over, we are putting a lot of weight in that joint and some other things. So when we find this standing pose, Tadasana, in a way that feels good in our body and actually creates more space and more stability, then we can maybe find that in regular places in our lives, standing washing dishes, standing in a line, interacting with family members when you get tense, so all these things. So noticing where the feet are, how they're pointed. Another thing to notice is just the curves of the spine. So the curves of the spine, the low back goes in slightly, the mid back curves out slightly, the neck curves in toward the body, so it makes a little bit of a bridge, or a little bit of formation in the neck. So we've got these curves in the spine. So notice how your curves go. Do you have a tendency to sink into the back, popping the butt back? Maybe your chest is splayed open. So that's one kind of alignment cue. Another one that I see a lot is, especially with texting, and I notice it especially in young kids or teenagers, especially girls, the hips might go forward, so you're pushing in, you really lose all sense of stability anatomically through the spine. The shoulders roll in, and oftentimes the chin is forward and the neck slouches forward. So those are a couple of things to notice, and this is kind of normal for all of us to have the shoulders rolling in. We want to find a little bit more integrity through the body. So I have this little puppet, and this is a finger puppet. So I bought this specifically to show this pose. So when we are not pushing into the feet slightly, that's when we start to have that collapse. So the ankles might fall in, the knees might fall in, and if I push into this little tiger, he's not pushing into his feet. And then when the tiger pushes into his feet, there's much more of an erect posture. There's more integrity through the body. And before we actually do this pose, just imagine or sense how that is informing you on an energetic level. So when we stand in a way that is pretty disconnected, so slumping or popping the butt back and the chest forward, those actually are going to do two different things energetically. But we're not really connecting with our body, with the physical part of our body, which then allows us to connect more energetically. So a couple of things, I was getting to that. So in your life, maybe you notice when you're in a particular stance or when you're in a particular situation with specific people, Do you take on that posture of kind of slumping in, slouching a little bit, slinking away, or hiding, not really feeling very powerful? Maybe. Maybe it's just a habit. Or when you kind of lock your knees, pop the butt back, lift the chest open, is there something else going on energetically? So just noticing that different emotions, different thoughts, they're all connected to the body as the body is connected to all of those things and the breath. So once you notice kind of in your life what's happening, I'll just invite you into this pose. So keeping in mind that your legs and the shape of your hips might be different than mine. You might have a little thinner, you might have a little bit more width into the back of your body, into the hips. And so if that's the case, widen your feet. Certainly if you're pregnant, widen the feet a little bit more. We want some more space and we want some stability here through the feet. And then starting with the feet, if you might rock up and down a little bit onto the toes and feel your ankles. That mobility in the ankles and in the toes is really critical. So our joints tend to kind of squish and forge themselves into like immobility as we age. So we want to keep that mobility. So finding the right stance for you and noticing where the toes are. So starting with the foundation, lift all 10 toes off the floor and flare your toes out. Take a breath. Feel the connection between the balls of your feet and your heels on the mat. At any time you can close your eyes and just notice what the body's feeling. Come a little bit more into the space of the body. With the toes up and flared, see if you can sense your inner ankles lifting. And then from there, spread the toes out and set your toes down one at a time, as spaciously as you can. And then press into the whole of the sole of the foot and imagine or sense that energy rising through the midline of your bones. So each leg, the shin bones connecting, and that old song, shin bone connected to the knee bone. Feel the knees engaging, maybe a little bit of effort into the thighs. The thighs might slightly press forward. You could even put your palms on your thighs. Take another breath in. Press again into the feet. Feel that energy rising now up through the torso. Maybe gently lifting the chest forward and up. If you're not sure what your chest is doing, you could bring your palms together at your heart center and breathing in, push through the feet, lift through the chest. And breathing out, relax the shoulders, pull the belly slightly in. When we engage at the low belly, you could even bring your hands to your low belly. It's not tight, but when you engage on your exhale, the navel will draw in and up, and you might feel a little more lift through the top of your head. Can you sense the collarbones being broad? And then bring one hand, fingertips up to the crown of the head, just like an old-fashioned kind of music box with a dancer in it. So lifting the crown of the head up toward the ceiling or the sky. Relax your other arm down. Take a breath in from your feet all the way up to the top of the head. And breathing out from the top of the head down to the feet. You can relax that hand down by your sides. You might try turning the palms forward, rolling the upper arm bones open. Engage through the feet again. Draw the back of your head slightly back and a little tuck of the chin. So the chin is neither jutting forward nor tucked and hanging down. There's this nice neutral spine, the back of the head drawing back, and then it just gives the chin a nice even playing field so it's parallel with the floor. And then we'll breathe. So once you find your mountain pose, take a couple of steady inhalations, a couple of exhalations. When you exhale, feel the body filling up. There's a little bit of a buoyancy. And when you exhale, feel the ground beneath you, the navel drawing in. And invite a sense of empowerment here, a sense of participation. Take one more breath. pausing, breathing. Relax the hands and the wrists. Nice, so bring hands to heart center. Thanks for practicing Tadasana pose today.